into the series, talked a lot about keeping them off the offensive glass, and they have had some success there. Just out of curiosity, is it due to something specific with the group, or is there maybe even a little bit of shock in how much they've missed shots and partially?
Well, I think they've always been real good at, reacting to the ball. They're quick to the ball, so you have to anticipate, because of the 5 out, you have to make sure you're getting to bodies. If they get a running start, their smalls are great rebounders.
Tom, what are you seeing in the film that's allowing you guys to get into these 20-point goals, and what can you guys do to maybe not concede such a big deficit?
Yeah, well, I think the way they're built, they can go on runs, and obviously we prefer not to do that. But we also understand that, it's a 48-minute game, and you got to fight to win every possession. And I think that's important to understand. It's play after play, and sometimes if you fall short, the next one, you got to come back and do better. And so just have the mentality of you're going to keep going forward.
You've always talked about understanding the fourth quarter is different, the way that the game can be called, the intensity, all that. Why have you guys been a little bit better in these fourth quarters than they've been?
Yeah, well, sometimes, it's the shot making, and I think, and you never know what can turn a game. Oftentimes it's a hustle play, it's a loose ball that turns into an easy bucket or a 3-point shot, and then you get 2 or 3 stops in a row, and then next thing you know, you're on a run. It's easy. It's not easy, but because you got to get the stops. But sometimes getting stops and getting into the open floor can fuel your offense, and then you go on a run, and that's what you have to do.
Tom, are you surprised with how low scoring the games have been, or why do you think that they're so low scoring? And people are saying, it's like the '90s Knicks. I mean, those Knicks.
I think every game is different. It's like sometimes it ends up, you anticipate that it'll be high scoring, ends up low scoring. And I think the big thing is to have the understanding you have to win games different ways. Whether it's a high scoring, low scoring, medium scoring, just find a way to win the game.
What is mentality? Why does mentality interrupt 2 games in the series? How many players have?
Yeah, it's really irrelevant. I think the big thing is to understand what it's going to take to win Game 3, to not get lost in, whether if you're up or what. That doesn't guarantee anything. What we have to understand is what we have to do to win Game 3.
The crowd, I assume, is going to be crazy in Game 3. I mean, how do you think? What do you think of that atmosphere? And how do you
I've said this, many times. Like, we have great fans, and we certainly appreciate the fans and the arena and all that. But what we have to understand is what goes into winning Game 3, and you have to earn it. It's not given to you. It's not going to be. There's no guarantee because you're up in a series. There's no guarantee because you're at home. You have to earn it, and you have to earn it play after play.
Tom, you played pretty well away from home. I mean, in the playoffs. Is there like sort of a mentality because you get away from everything and it's you guys against the world that helps? Or?
Well, you go on the road, and it's you have a close-knit group, and you understand that it's you against the crowd, you against the atmosphere. Calls are probably not going to go your way, so you got to make things go your way, and so we have to have that understanding. And then the same thing, it's the playoffs, so there's urgency to it. Whether you're home, road, there has to be urgency in every game, but we have to understand what's at stake, and you got to earn your wins.
Do you guys, I guess, move forward as if Porzingis is going to play a whole game tomorrow, or do you expect it might be?
Yeah, you plan for everything, all the possibilities that could occur. So, and we know the strengths and weaknesses of their team, and they're the defending champions. So we understand we have to bring it for 48 minutes. There has to be urgency, there has to be force, there has to be intensity, there has to be concentration, right? And that's the way we're approaching it.
I'm not trying to usher you toward fire or anything here, but when it comes specifically to Cat,
Yes, you are, but go ahead.
When you're talking about human nature with the guys who blow the whistles, I think sometimes they get caught up in the fact that he does sometimes just look almost like it's too easy for him. And so sometimes you think maybe that's part of. I know Cap himself, just by his reaction, I was saying, he thinks he doesn't get a great whistle a lot of times. And do you think that's part of it? The notion that maybe they just get caught up in this looks too easy for him. And so
well, it's hard to read what's in an official's mind, And I think for us, the important thing is to remain, disciplined and to play with toughness. Because sometimes you get the call, sometimes you don't. It's hard to define marginal, and I think finishing is important, particularly in the playoffs. You have to finish through contact, finish your cuts, finish your defense. You have to finish.
Is it part of the job of coaching him to keep reminding him to just kind of forget it?
Yeah, and I think he's grown. I think that he's and we always, all of us, we all can do better. But I think he's a lot better than he was, when I had him in Minnesota. So it's and again, I think you realize it's part of the game, and each game may be called differently. So don't let that get you distracted. Stay disciplined, stay focused. Stay focused on the task at hand, which is to win Game 3.
Knowing he'll be going to the line more than usual, does Mitch practice free throws now more than he does, or is it same as always?
No, he's got a process that he does every day, and he'll be fine.
Any thoughts about the Pope being Villanova guy?
Yeah, now they can be forgiven for their sins.
Coach, why?
You're rooting for the Franciscan.
There you go.
Coach, why is you guys so successful on the road in the playoffs so far? And then you just mentioned about the urgency. So do you feel like you need to bring that urgency to the home game?
Well, I think you have to bring it to every game. I think you sense it more when, like on the road, you feel like okay, the crowd, the atmosphere, everything, and so we can't get lost in thinking that because it's the home crowd that we have to give them something to cheer about, and we have to earn what we want. You have to deserve what you want.
Can you sense that from your players now before the Game 3? So the same, like a atmosphere from the players from before Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3? Is it any different?
No, I think that's why it's important to establish a routine of how you prepare to play and understanding how important your preparation is for each game. I think that's where your confidence comes from. And so to understand what's going to go into it, I think that's important for everyone.
You've seen a lot of, couple more guys. You've seen a lot of OG's defense over the last year plus. Just what maybe impressed you about the way he's been able to do it on this stage in the series so far?
Well, I think the versatility. I think when you put that with Mikhail and Josh, that wing versatility is huge, and then to add in what Mitch has brought to that, and also Carl's defense is, I think, vastly improved.
I'm going to bring you back to 4 years ago when you guys played Atlanta in that Game 1. For a lot of those guys, it was the first time they had been in an atmosphere like that, and they had been pandemic and this stuff was happening where the arenas were empty. But it looked like a lot of them were almost like weren't ready for it. But when you have guys who've been through so much and they're stepping into an atmosphere like they are tomorrow, does that help at all, that experience?
Well, experience, it could be good sometimes if it's good experience, but if it's bad experience, that doesn't help. So as long as it's good experience, I think there's maybe one player from that team on the roster now.
I know, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to draw the
I'm just trying to help you with your job.
I know. I'm trying to draw the distinction between more of an inexperienced squad.
Yeah, no, and I think whatever it is that you have, you try to take advantage of. So if you don't have experience, you try to, you would approach it more with energy, youthfulness, like that, and approach it that way, being athletic and trying to take it. And if you have experience, you think that that's a big benefit. And I think probably having a combination of the two is probably the best approach. So we always say the young guys help bring the energy, and the older guys help teach everyone the tricks of the trade, and everyone work together to bring the best out of each other. And that's what we try to do.
All right, James, last one.
Tom, to go back to what Mac asked about Cat and driving in the fouls, there are times whether he's actually fouled or trying to sell a call, like it turns into 4-on-5 on the other way. Is that a conversation that comes up within the group, like on film, in terms of like like, listen, I understand maybe you are getting fouled, but this is what's happening when you're not getting back and things of that nature?
Yeah, well, all of that is, you talk about everything. I think everything is important. So, I want us to attack the rim. I think that's important. And then, find open threes, hit the open man. And, like if you fall down, that does not absolve you from getting back. So get your butt up, and I won't say how I would say it to him, but get back.
All right, thanks, Coach.